Hi everyone. Today I'm going to take you through the case study of Johnnie Walker. This case describes Johnnie Walker's effort to move from a multi-local product brand to a global master brand, underlining that the switch is a strategic business decision. It begins by understanding and addressing a global customer need, then managing the standardization of marketing activities across markets, with significant internal changes required to existing structure and process. Now, before moving to this case study, I would request you to subscribe 5 Minutes Learning channel in YouTube in order to get my recent case study video updates on time. This video is also enabled with English subtitles for your better understanding. Now let's move to the case study. The story of Johnnie Walker goes back to 1820, at a time when whiskey was sold as a single malt. Since the quality was inconsistent and the taste often harsh, Johnnie Walker started to blend whiskies at his mother's grocery shop in Scotland to deliver a consistent and higher quality. Word of his quality product traveled fast and his business blossomed, spurred on by advances in distilling techniques that made it possible to distill larger volumes. Walker's son Alexander inherited the company in 1857 at the age of 20, and a few years later took the first step towards turning it into an international brand. He began blending grain and malt whiskies, patented the name Walker's Old Highland Whiskey, created the square bottle and slanting label, and opened an office in London in 1880. From there, he shipped his family's product all around the world. The next generation of Walkers, George and Alexander too, added new whiskies to the portfolio, and the names Johnnie Walker Red Label and Johnnie Walker Black Label founded their place on the bottles. George and Alexander too launched the first advertising campaign in 1906. Keen to portray his grandfather in the advertising, Alexander asked a number of leading artists to come up with a suitable representation. The Striding Man was created by Tom Brown in 1908, symbolizing not only Johnnie Walker but the entrepreneurial spirit of the company. By the 1920s, the business had grown into a worldwide venture in more than 120 markets. On 12th May 1997, Grand Metropolitan and Guinness announced plans to merge, creating the world's seventh largest global food and drinks company, Diageo. The year after the merger were particularly challenging for Johnnie Walker and marked a period of fundamental change in its history. In 1998, the brand's market share dropped for the first time in more than a decade, in part due to the Asian crisis and weakening performance in key European markets, but also because it was a tough time for the whiskey industry as a whole. From the early 1990s, consumers had been developing a taste for different drinks. They bought less whiskey and opted for alternatives such as wine, champagne, vodka, tequila, and ready-to-drink mixes like Smirnoff Ice. As demand for other spirits rose, whiskey consumers either scaled up to premium Scotch or went for value-based products. Standard Scotch lost out. By the mid-90s, whiskey share of spirits had fallen to 8%, and its share of wine and spirits combined fell to less than 3% from more than 4%. Year after year, the 1% decline continued throughout the 90s as whiskey lost its place among younger consumers of legal drinking age. By the 1997, whiskey sales totaled 178 million 9-liter cases. Scotch had a 40% share of the whiskey category, or 72 million cases, down to 0.2% from the previous year. When in December 1997, the Executive Board of Wine and Spirits Division appointed Ms. Alice Avis, a global brand director for Johnnie Walker, They tasked her to grow the brand to rival Bacardi and Smirnoff in terms of volume and make it one of the largest spirit brands in the world. The goal set for Johnnie Walker by the Diageo board included a 7% CAGR to 15 million cases, which is a 19% share of the Scotch market, up from 11%, and the doubling of its profit contribution as well. Considering the prevailing market trends, those growth and profit projections seemed impossible, but Avis took on the challenge. As a first step, she put together a global brand team of 8, which included a consumer planner with an advertising background, 3 marketing directors, 2 marketing managers, and an assistant. The GBT recognized a need to reinforce Johnnie Walker Red Label's position as the #1 standard Scotch and the potential to re-establish Johnnie Walker Black Label as the leading premium Scotch. They also wanted to create a platform for growth of the brand franchise, including the acceleration of Johnnie Walker Super Deluxe and the Pure Malt brands. Avis' first step was to get a better handle on what Johnnie Walker stood for, and she launched a comprehensive brand review. The Interbrand Power Brand study found that Johnnie Walker was the strongest spirit brand in the world, with a history of awards for quality and innovation. It was a potential engine for value growth in Diageo as the company's leading brand in terms of gross profits. With 68% of total Johnnie Walker volume, Red Label delivered 45% of gross profits, while with 30% of volume, Black Label represented 46% of profits. The remaining profit came from Johnnie Walker Super Deluxe and Johnnie Walker Pure Malt. Although it was still the biggest selling Scotch in the world, volume decline in 1998 led to a decline in contribution after advertising and promotion by more than £3 million year on year. Compared to Bacardi, Smirnoff and other star products with 8% growth, Johnnie Walker's average growth rate of 1.5% left room for improvement. The review also revealed that a lack of market prioritization, relevant differentiation, and clear focus were responsible for resources being overstretched and costs high. First, although 20 markets accounted for 67% of Red Label and 70% of Black Label volumes, there was no clear market prioritization. Second, until early 1998, Johnnie Walker was narrowly defined by product credentials, such as the world's most prize-winning Scotch. Advertising referred to its full flavor, rich color and taste, or its challenging nature that rewarded men for substance, or its rugged highland origins. It was shackled by conventional images such as glossy photos of bottles and glasses of scotch being poured, Scottish landscape, and middle-aged men with young women on their arms. Third, Johnnie Walker was marketed differently from country to country. This had led to underinvestment in brand building on the one hand, and a lack of relevance to consumers and their aspirations on the other. Further, the absence of an overall on-trade strategy resulted in an inconsistent presence and impact at the point of purchase. Localization of brand positioning and advertising campaigns had led to brand fragmentation. At the sub-brand level, each variant, red, black, and blue, was positioned and marketed separately. Between 1997 and 1999, there were over 27 different campaigns for Red Label and Black Label. In Greece, Brazil, and the US, Johnnie Walker was known for its standard variant Red Label, whereas the premium Black Label was dominant in Taiwan, Thailand, and Venezuela. This dissipated approach to investment had made Johnnie Walker a disparate collection of local or regional brands. It was clear from the brand review that small incremental changes to advertising or the cost base were not going to deliver the 5-year stretch goals. Johnnie Walker needed to radically transform the consumer's relationship with the brand and category to drive growth. With this in mind, Alice and the GBT agreed on a 5-year plan which aimed to accelerate top-line growth in major spirit market and reverse any decline by actively recruiting new drinkers and increasing drinking. The plan refocused global A&P investment on must-win markets with the greatest growth opportunities. In the US, which is the number one spirit market in the world, the focus was on recruiting a new generation of consumers to Johnnie Walker Black Label, while cutting investment in Red Label. In Brazil, which had a large and growing young population, the aim was to increase investment in promoting Red Label with the goal of becoming the number one spirit brand. In smaller emerging markets, the plan was to seed Johnnie Walker Black Label and Blue Label, but limit above the line support. Leo Burnett, the existing agency for Johnnie Walker, and BBH, a boutique agency in London in which Leo Burnett had recently acquired a majority stake, were asked to pitch for a new advertising campaign to reignite growth and build the brand. With the imperative to recruit new customers, Johnnie Walker rolled out a mentor program to recruit new drinkers by establishing Johnnie Walker's superior product quality credentials. This involved hosting by invitation events at bars popular with young upwardly mobile men. The host led participants through a brief history of the brand, followed by a tasting of various single malts and grain whiskies that went into the blends. While the program was expensive, data revealed that attendees on average spoke about their experience and helped recruit 5 additional drinkers. The 5-year plan also focused on opportunities for maximizing cost efficiencies along the value chain by rethinking the number of SKUs and the reducing distribution costs. For example, in an effort to reduce counterfeiting, a packaging plan re-engineered the bottle tops and was expected to deliver £2.6 million in saving over 5 years on Black Label. However, these changes were not enough to achieve the growth targets set by the executive board. Clearly, Alvis and the GBT needed to come up with a breakthrough initiative. To understand what makes a brand a global power brand, Avis and the GBT reviewed brands they admired and wished to emulate, such as Apple, Coca-Cola, and Nike. What made these brands so strong and pervasive, and their products so meaningful to consumers? They pursued books and opinion pieces on the topic of global power brands, looking for insights to apply to Johnnie Walker, and identified 3 elements common to global power brands. The first element was leadership, that is, a brand's ability to lead and exceed expectation, to take people into new territory, new areas of product, service, and even social philosophy at the right time. It also implied a certain restlessness about self-renewal. The second factor that characterized global power brand was focus. Nike's Phil Knight had observed that without focus, the whole brand is at risk. The third factor was a clear understanding of what the brand stood for and how to appeal to consumers on an emotional and personal level. Exemplified like Apple opposes, IBM solves, Nike its hearts, Virgin enlightens, Sony dreams, Benton protests. Armed with this knowledge, the GBT went back to the fundamental features of the brand, its reputation as a bestseller, the distinctive square bottle, and perhaps most important, a strong heritage. With a brand steeped in history, the GBT knew that the past should play an important role. consumer research showed that Johnnie Walker was associated in consumers' mind with a set of brand values such as substance, excellence, masculinity that were relevant to men at different stages in life. A study was conducted by Research International about the changing role of men was particularly significant. Seeking to understand lifestyle trends, expectations, concerns, motivations, values, and aspirations, the study looked at how men saw their role in life, as well as how they were portrayed. Conducted between September and December 1997, it covered 46 countries. Results came from interviews with men from urban areas, middle and upper middle socioeconomic classes, and a broad age classes. Professionals from different fields were interviewed, and several female groups were also solicited. Cutting across countries and cultures, the study found that men went through three life stages, each characterized by different needs as shown here. The study showed that masculinity was about prototypes, the provider, the leader, the protector, etc., as well as physical and biological differences. The prototypes had not changed, but their expression had. In the past, masculinity was equated with ideas of absolute authority, the sole provider, or the right to control women's behavior. But with the changing role of women as their financial power, status, and authority increased, gender roles and ideas about equality were evolving, and masculinity was expressed differently. In addition to the traditional characteristics of adventure, achievement, and responsibility, it incorporated softer values such as friendship, vulnerability, and consideration, especially in North America, Western Europe, and Australia. The study indicated that in future, men would have a new role and identity with more of a humane characteristics. It was clear that Johnnie Walker needed to own the emotional heartland of Scotch masculine success. The problem was that traditional expressions of masculine success differed from market to market, and the brand was seen as undifferentiated and lacking relevancy. Avis wondered if it would be better to have a global positioning for Johnnie Walker across product variants like Red Label, Black Label, and Super Deluxe malts and markets instead of today's fragmented positioning. She recognized that to change the way the brand was portrayed and perceived, team leaders needed to change their ways of thinking and behavior beyond the spirit's limitation, as well as to resist the desire to say, it won't work here, our culture, market condition, etc. are different. Thank you everyone for watching this video. See you soon with another interesting case study. For more such case studies, please subscribe 5 Minutes Learning channel in YouTube.